The year was 1348. The Marinid Sultanate, stretching from the Atlantic coast of Morocco deep into Algeria, stood at a critical turning point. Sultan Abu al-Hasan Ali ibn Othman, who had attempted to unify the Maghreb under Marinid rule, had just suffered a devastating defeat in Tunisia. His ambitious dream was shattered, his army routed, and his authority undermined. Into this storm stepped his son, Abu Inan Faris, a young prince who had grown up witnessing the martial glories and political intrigues of the Marinid court. At barely 30 years old, he ascended the throne, and what followed was a reign that would mark both the pinnacle and the beginning of the decline of the Marinid dynasty. Abu Inan Faris was not a ruler content with sitting on a crumbling throne. With fire in his heart and a sharp mind shaped by both classical learning and battlefield experience, he sought to undo the damage caused by his father's misadventures. Immediately, he launched campaigns to reconquer lost territories in the central Maghreb. By 1352, he had reclaimed Tlemcen, the capital of the Zayyanid dynasty, and extended Marinid influence deep into present-day Algeria. He even sent expeditions into the southern reaches of the Sahara, asserting dominance over key trade routes that connected West Africa to North Africa. At home, he moved just as decisively. Fez, his capital, became a radiant center of learning, religion, and architecture. The Bu Inania Madrasa, built under his patronage, was not just a school. It was a statement of power and refinement. Its intricate calligraphy, geometric tiles, and towering minaret proclaimed to the world that the Marinids were not mere warriors, but sophisticated rulers, heirs to the intellectual legacy of the Islamic Golden Age. Libraries expanded, scholars were welcomed from as far as Cairo and Damascus, and poets sang of Abu Inan's wisdom and might. Abu Inan was also a keen reformer. Recognizing the need for administrative stability, he reorganized the provincial governors, implemented fairer taxation systems, and increased state oversight over trade and agriculture. His reforms helped stabilize the economy and ensured a steady flow of revenue into the royal treasury, allowing him to finance his military and cultural ambitions. But his reign was not without challenges. His expansionist policies put him at odds with neighboring dynasties like the Hafsids and the Zayyanids, and even within his court, danger lurked. His vizier, Hassan ibn Umar, had risen through the ranks as a loyal administrator, but as his influence grew, so too did his ambitions. Hassan began to maneuver behind the scenes, placing allies in key positions, silencing dissent, and weaving a web of spies and informants around the palace. Meanwhile, Abu Inan began showing signs of mistrust. Some sources say he contemplated naming a new heir, fearing betrayal from his inner circle. Others claim that he began to withdraw, growing increasingly isolated and erratic. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain. In 1358, the brilliant reign of Abu Inan Faris came to a sudden and violent end. In a calculated coup, Hassan ibn Umar ordered the Sultan's assassination. Abu Inan was strangled in his private chambers, his voice silenced by the very man who had once served him. The aftermath was catastrophic. With no powerful ruler to maintain unity, the Marinid state began to fracture. Viziers seized control, installing child kings and puppet rulers. The once proud dynasty that had stood against Christian incursions from Iberia and rival Muslim dynasties in the Maghreb now became a shadow of its former self. Assassinations, civil wars, and palace coups became the norm. One by one, provinces broke away, and the dream of a unified, powerful Morocco slipped into memory. Abu Inan's reign remains a subject of fascination for historians. In just a decade, he managed to restore a crumbling empire, create one of the most vibrant cultural centers in the Islamic world, and project power across the Maghreb. Yet his fatal trust in a treacherous vizier cost him everything. His life is a lesson in the fragile balance between ambition and caution, between greatness and vulnerability. Today, his legacy lives on in the halls of the Bu Inania Madrasa, and in the chronicles of scholars who remembered a sultan of unmatched vision. He was the last true sovereign of the Marinids, the final spark before the long night of instability. If you found this story captivating, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for more thrilling tales from North African history. And don't forget to ring the bell so you never miss an episode of Forgotten Empires, Legendary Kings, and Epic Battles.